Hello, my friend, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Daily. My name is Aaron Machbitz. There are very few things that happen in WWE that are universally loved or universally hated. But it seems like Pat McAfee teaming up with Randy Orton 2 weeks before WrestleMania is almost universally hated, except if you're Mark Henry, who seems to have loved the decision, is now even more fired up for WrestleMania. But Mark Henry has been known to have some really bad takes. But this Pat McAfee decision, so on the April 3rd edition of Friday Night SmackDown, it was revealed that Pat McAfee was the man on the phone with Randy Orton. The voice in Randy Orton's head was Pat McAfee. Now let's be very clear. If it was revealed that the voices in Randy Orton's head were just Randy Orton, it would have been better than the reveal of Pat McAfee. If you are going to introduce a new character 2 weeks before WrestleMania, you have to absolutely hit a home run. I didn't even mind kind of the words that Pat McAfee said, right? He's sort of addressing the things that all the people on the internet kind of address. And I didn't love the way he went about it. He kind of buried everything. That's not kind of the approach that I would have taken with the promo. But there is some bits and pieces there that fans will kind of resonate. Okay, they're kind of saying they acknowledge the fact that all these things are happening and they're trying to fix it, but they're not really trying to fix it, but they acknowledge it and maybe they're ignoring it. And so Pat McAfee's kind of playing off that, but he just wasn't the right guy for the situation. If you want someone to do that, it has to be an absolute home run that adds intensity and realness and gravity and like interest in the actual match between Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. Because the feud started off great. Randy wins the Elimination Chamber. Great, they have that first kind of interaction, and Cody Rhodes is left bloody. We see this resurgence of Randy Orton being the Viper, being the vicious, sort of diabolical person that he is. And then Randy Orton starts to have these voices in his head. Who's talking to him? Is it just Randy? Is he gone crazy? Is he all just hyper-focused on winning the 15th World Championship? Then you have Stephanie McMahon come out and talk to Cody Rhodes on Monday Night Raw, and she's like, you got to reach his level of being this diabolical if you want to keep your championship. And then we move to Friday Night SmackDown, where it's sort of announced before the show that it's going to be revealed who was talking to Randy Orton on the phone. And we get Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee has been away from WWE for quite some time. He said kind of the business has moved away from him, which was a real thing that Pat McAfee said on his show, and that's probably how he felt. He was a commentator. He has had some matches, Adam Cole, Gunther, things like that. We know he can talk on the microphone. He does that for a living. He's had some pretty good promos in his career, and Pat McAfee it's been well documented that he wants to leave the commentary table and move into like a character type of role. And so I guess this is the role that they decided for him, but I think this was not correct. I think this was not good. I really like Pat McAfee. I respect what he's done in sports media. I respect the sort of the empire and the brand that he's built and how he's worked his way into WWE and ESPN and all these types of things. That's great. But again, 2 weeks before WrestleMania and you need to sell tickets, this is what you do. I think it was a bad decision. Again, it would have been a better choice if they had just revealed that it was Randy Orton's voices inside his own head. Now, the ultimate pick, if healthy, would have been Kevin Owens. And there was a sort of a little inclination of that on Kevin Owens' social media because he was posting like of Cody Rhodes, that doll, and then he posted like his dog, and Kevin Owens just posts weird shit all the time. And so some fans, including myself, had some hope that it was going to be Kevin Owens revealed. But I think if Kevin Owens gets revealed there, it even makes Randy Orton more of a babyface going into this match than he already is, because you have a return of a superstar that everyone loves in Kevin Owens going against Cody Rhodes, who's like loved and hated kind of at the same time, kind of like John Cena was back in the day when it was like, let's go Cena, Cena sucks. And so now they didn't do that. So obviously Kevin Owens is not there, but some also fans and people on the internet, some rumors believe that Pat McAfee is part of a larger reveal, and there will be a different reveal this coming SmackDown, and then sort of that will be the actual voices behind Randy Orton's, on the phone. And I don't agree with that. That's too many sort of introductions close to WrestleMania. But overall, if you just look on the internet, people hate it. I sort of checked the barometer of like really diehard WWE fans when I talked to my buddy Tanner, and he was not happy about this at all. Like, there's so many other choices. SmackDown and Monday Night Raw sometimes are really hard to watch. And then you get all these comments on your post like, we'll just stop watching. I've been watching WWE for 20 years. for 20 years. There is a difference between, purposefully watching to hate on the product and being critical of it so it can get better. Because all WWE has put out recently is like, okay, John Cena is here to save wrestling. Okay, now Pat McAfee is here to save the business. Well, if WWE just produced better storylines, products, and gained better interest from their actual fan base, maybe they would save their real fans from leaving and just garnering all these viral social media clips that don't lead to anything substantial, as you can tell. And so I personally thought Pat McAfee was the wrong choice. The internet seems to agree with me. Everyone seems to agree with me. And the April 3rd edition of Friday Night SmackDown was the lowest rated Friday Night SmackDown, I think, in the history of SmackDown, if I read that correctly before jumping on to this video. But let's talk about some rumors, some sources, things that may have led to this decision about Pat McAfee joining Randy Orton. So sources indicate that this was not the call from Triple H or WWE Creative, but a call straight from Ari Emanuel and TKO Brass. McAfee has been expected to return to WWE for quite some time now, and his comments about the business passing him by were all kayfabe. Another source indicates that Ari Emanuel believes that McAfee is a star and will help elevate this program between Orton and Rhodes and get it where it needs to be between his show on ESPN and weekly SmackDown episodes before WrestleMania in 2 weeks. TKO are firm believers that mainstream names will help bring more eyes to the product and sell more tickets as they make their return to Las Vegas. Just like John Cena hosting, bringing Pat McAfee in, having iShow Speed and Lil Yachty, and all these people are just so they can sell a few more tickets because they have done a piss poor fucking job at building storylines and producing quality television that make the diehard WWE fans want to buy a ticket to WrestleMania. And they also made an absolutely terrible decision by going back to Las Vegas for the second year in a row. And so here's what else we have to say about Ari Emanuel. TKO CEO Ari Emanuel was the reason Travis Scott was added to John Cena's heel turn last year. Now he's also the reason Pat McAfee has been inserted into the Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton feud. TKO is the worst thing to ever happen to WWE. It's hard for me to disagree with that statement. Travis Scott absolutely fucking ruined the John Cena heel turn. It was atrocious. And I'm not going to go straight to that and say Pat McAfee has ruined the Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton feud, but he hasn't made it better. And now he's gone on record saying if Randy Orton does not win his 15th world title at WrestleMania 42, then Pat McAfee will never ever be seen on another wrestling promotion show ever again. So it's almost a guarantee that Randy Orton wins at WrestleMania. Because they're going to keep Pat McAfee around because he has the show on ESPN, and WWE and ESPN are linked. And so now I don't really know who I want to win. I was very, very interested in Randy Orton winning and getting his 15th world title because I'm a huge fan of Randy Orton. And just like Pat McAfee, I do think that he's in the GOAT conversation. I think Randy Orton is one of the greatest of all time. But now you have this weird Pat McAfee interjection. And so do I want Cody Rhodes to win? No, not really. I'm very sick and tired of Cody Rhodes being in the main event scene. I think he needs to remove himself from the main event scene and do something else away from the championship for a while. So I still do want Randy Orton to win technically, which means Randy Orton and Pat McAfee are going to be continuously around for a while. But just randomly inserting Pat McAfee doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And then you think about this. You think about the relationship between TKO and Triple H. It seems like TKO does not trust Triple H. Let's go back to 2024. TKO interferes in the road to WrestleMania and puts The Rock, ignoring the story of Cody Rhodes, to whom Triple H gave the Rumble to save the situation. In the end, it turned out well and left a historic WrestleMania main event. It turned out well. And then you go to 2025, TKO interferes in the road to WrestleMania again due to low ticket sales for the Elimination Chamber and puts The Rock with John Cena and Travis Scott, and that turned out absolutely disastrously and kind of ruined the WrestleMania 41 main event. Now we go into 2026. This is kind of the third year in a row. TKO inserts itself, interferes in the road to WrestleMania again, puts Pat McAfee, who had absolutely nothing to do with the storyline, in the middle of the story between Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. And as of right now, it looks like it's turned out very, very badly. But again, time will tell. Maybe I'm wrong and it turns out to be fucking incredible. It's obvious that sometimes Triple H screws up and makes bad booking decisions. That happens to everyone all the time. But there's also a very serious underlying problem, which is that TKO doesn't trust Triple H. And so it's probably hard for Triple H to really go all in on the bookings and the stories and the characters he wants, because he doesn't know ultimately if everything is going to get changed right underneath his feet. And so I'm sure that's something that Triple H thinks about a lot and has probably thought about a lot. And there's also been injuries on the road to WrestleMania. There's been all sorts of things, but that's kind of the breakdown there of Pat McAfee teaming up with Randy Orton, kind of universally hated as of right now, but I don't know, could turn out better than we expect, could turn out worse than we expect, or could just be a sort of another thing that we remember as a part of WWE history. But it is looking like, if we just take what McAfee has said and what TKO is doing, that Randy Orton will probably win the championship at WrestleMania 42, which fires me up because I love Randy Orton. But what will be the direction of Randy Orton and Pat McAfee after WrestleMania? Is there a larger reveal outside of Pat McAfee? Will Cody Rhodes recruit some help to help with the situation, because he is going to basically be handicapped in his match at WrestleMania? What other things might happen, or other layers might be added to the story to potentially make it better? Because right now they're digging themselves out of a massive hole that they created, because all TKO cares about is their ticket sales and fucking viral clips and their money. And that is not producing those aims, those goals are not producing quality television, and it's becoming a serious problem. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd absolutely love to hear from you. Then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Lots of love. Cheers.